So I gotta be honest, I never thought I would be doing an internet apology, but here I am saying, I'm sorry. I apologize. I learned my journalist skills from the fine people at Fox News and MSNBC. I heard something and I just kind of went with it. Didn't do my own research. Well, I actually did have that time, and now it's 2 a.m. and I'm recording a correction because this has to do with the Switch 2, the Direct, the game, and namely the physical game distribution process. As I had said before, that the physical cartridges were going to cost $90 and only really have a key code. So let's talk about that. But before we do, hit that like and subscribe button if you really want to support somebody who cares so much about the information that he gives that he will do a correction video at 2 in the morning with his daughter sleeping not 10 feet away. So as it is, I actually wanted to discuss a little bit more than just the physical games. I actually wanted to clear up a few things, at least my thoughts. I never really said how I felt about the actual Switch 2, and I want to say that I'm actually okay with the price. I think it's probably worth it. In fact, I did a poll where I asked, what do you think the price is going to be? And if you look in my comment, I think it was JP from Kotaku HQ, he put price, and I put down $449 is what I thought it would be, because I just felt like that's gonna be the price, and I don't have a problem with that. And I will say this as well, when I was watching the stream, the graphics didn't look great. And I said it on my last video, it could have been the stream itself, it was just poor quality downloading, there could have been so many people watching that it really put up a bunch of lag and it just didn't look very good. Well, I've seen it since and it does look really good. I am actually pretty excited to pick up the Switch 2. I will say this though, although I still believe that we are behind the 8-ball, if you will, when it comes to games and their releases, and just essentially the Switch tax in general, how, something like Elden Ring or Final Fantasy VII Remake is definitely a lot cheaper on a different console. But I definitely didn't want to come off just complete doom and gloom and I wasn't excited for the Switch 2 or anything. And I do realize my last video I did seem a little bit negative on the Switch 2. And one of the big reasons why was because of physical game prices and game prices in general. Now it does seem that Mario Kart World is, yes, $80, but I don't know. I saw Woodhawker, beat 'em ups, talk about how maybe this is going to be an $80 game because it's going to essentially have free DLC from now for a couple years or so. And if that's the case, I agree. $80 would be fine. Now, that's if. That's a big if. If they come out with paid DLC, then that's a completely different story. I'd be completely out on Mario Kart World, and we're definitely in the darkest timeline. By the way, spoiler alert, we're in the darkest timeline. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. I really don't know. But I have a feeling we're going to find here in a couple weeks when they do the full direct for this game, and maybe they'll go into some of that pricing. The other thing I wanted to clear up while I could was the $70 price tag for just normal games on the Switch 2. Honestly, I don't have a problem with that. They're just catching up to what every other console is, and I fully expected that. That wasn't a big issue for me. I know for some people it's going to suck. As I often state, I play a lot of different consoles, and $70 has been the standard for a while now, so I'm personally already used to it, and I don't see a problem with Nintendo doing that. It completely makes sense. My big issue was with the physical cartridge, and it being $90 and to only basically be a permission slip from Nintendo of allowing you to play the game. Well, it turns out that might not actually be true, so the price tag of $90 looks like that was only done by this one European site, and it hasn't been confirmed anywhere else. Also, on that note, it looks like the actual physical copy of the game might not just be a key code. Some of them might be, and it's going to be an option, or it can actually be the entire game. Apparently, Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be the whole game. It's coming with a 64 gig cartridge, which is massive. So essentially, it sounds like we're going to be able to tell because some of the cartridges or the cases that we buy will have that little internet sticker above it and say essentially you're just buying a code. Well, here's the nice thing though about this whole key card thing is the fact that you will have some secondary value because you would be able to trade the key code in on the cartridge to like a secondary store where you could recoup some of your money or trade it in for credit, GameStop, any of those. As where before, you were basically just buying a code, and as soon as you use that code, it was dead. So this is kind of actually a little bit of a nice compromise as per getting getting some of our money back when it comes to like digital-esque products. And that has been an issue for me because I often just go all digital. And yeah, there is absolutely no secondary value after you purchase it. It's gone. Like you can't even do anything with it. Company can take it away and you got nothing. So this is kind of a nice little thing that they're offering. It's not exactly as bad as I thought it was, and I really wish they would have been more informative about that information, because it does sound like it's like the only option for physical games on the Switch 2. Turns out that's not true. I do, however, think it's fair to speculate for how long it's going to be an option and not be the standard, because that is probably coming. The other thing I wanted to talk about too was the camera. So I don't know if you've watched the Direct yet. If you have, you would notice that like a big function of the Switch is more about like gaming together, that streaming kind of world, having your friends and them being able to see you and you see what they're doing and vice versa. Well, there's a camera that you can buy separately. It is $50, and honestly, for the quality, it's actually a pretty good deal. But just to let you know, you can use any camera that you have. It is pretty much universal with most like digital cameras, so that's a good thing. Nintendo could have just made it a proprietary camera only, and they didn't do that. Now, I will say, as we were talking about that whole social aspect and the group chat and all of that stuff, the C button, I also realized it wasn't just me. There's been a few other people pointed it out, that C button, unless you pay for Nintendo Switch Online, becomes worthless after a year. So you do get like a free use of it until like March 2026. But after that, you have to pay for it. And if you don't, yeah, it's just a worthless button. I didn't really ever think about that until realizing just how many people don't subscribe to Nintendo Switch Online. And also thinking about the fact that this is supposed to be like their gimmick moving forward. Like for the Switch 2, it's more inclusion and hanging out with your friends and everything. But all of those aspects, you actually have to pay for. Now, don't get me wrong, I have always been against the whole gimmick thing. Like, when the Switch was released and it did so well, I always said, don't screw it up. Don't Nintendo this thing by being gimmicky. Just make a better version of this. And for the most part, that's what they did. But this was like their little thing that they added on. It is more about communication and playing with other people. Again, it's all stuff that other consoles have been doing for a long time, but it was specifically made for the Switch 2. And then I just realized that the camera and even the subscription to be able to use the group chat and all of that is all stuff you're gonna have to pay for. So that's kind of crazy. I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts are on all of that, how you feel now about the physical cartridges, anything and everything. I do appreciate it. And hey, while we're at the end of this video, I just wanted to say a few things. One, I am really gonna try to post more when it comes to polls, shorts, things like that. I'm really gonna try to do that more often, and definitely got a lot of videos coming up. So we still have Assassin's Creed Shadows. We have a game called Bloomtown that has been out for the Switch and for PS5 for quite a while, and I just recently played it and loved it. Also, I have some horror games I want to get into. There's just a lot to check out, and a lot of these videos are back to back to back. So anyway, it's gonna be busy a week or so, but I love all y'all. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.